What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the CornerCult, another Tuesday night Let's Go show, guys. I want to say hi to each and every one of you before we get started, but before all of that, guys, I wanted to just give a big FU to the home arcade community. I mean, honest to God, it's my time to say it and spray it. Let's go. It's my time to get up or get out the way. I'm sick and tired of it, guys. But before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know that it shouldn't be me saying the FU to the community, right, chat? Right? Let's go, baby. It's a new opening. It's a new 2025, baby. I want to bring on somebody that can say the FU to each and every one of you. It's going to be Glenn Planamento. Let's go, Glenn. Welcome to the CornerCult. Let's go, buddy. Thanks
for having me on. Appreciate it.
Anytime, guys. I wanted to say hi to each and every one of you guys. Before we get started, I want to have Glenn on to talk about, that's right, guys, the FU Build-A-K, the full-size unit, the family unit. I mean, it can mean so many things, right, guys? Let's go. You guys
Fun unit, know. Family unit, fantastic unit, for you unit.
For you unit. I love it. Jeremy, thank you so much for stopping by. Let's go. Julio Hernandez. Hey, Danny, 2025 is going to be a great year for the home arcade community. I hope. I mean, people like Glenn here making products, getting things excited. I mean, 2024 was such a letdown that you can do anything in 2025 and it'd be better, right, Glenn?
Yeah, 2024 was it went fast though, thankfully. I mean, 2024 didn't have a lot, but it kind of went quick. I mean, practice 2026. I mean, we're starting January 14th? This year's almost done.
Yeah, get it out of here. Let's go to 2026. Mr. Clutch is in the house. Danny, all of the arcades you owned over the years, is there any that you've regretted selling and wish you had back? That's a great question. Real quick to answer, maybe Tron, but it's hard because when you sell one, you don't play it and then you want it back, but maybe Tron would be. It's funny, Glenn, you got a Tron right behind you. Look at that. It was an arcade one-up Tron too. So.
I do, but I have that for another reason. That's just for legal reasons. I have that one, but
it's all part of the plan.
I'm gonna admit, arcade one-up. Two cabinets for me that I think did well was the Star Wars unit and the Tron unit, barring the issues I have with them. Those were two really good units. Although I got to say, my Tron unit doesn't boot half the time. Like half the time just comes to a blank screen. But,
that really sucks. That's like what's happened to the Galaga guy at one time, I think.
Right.
But with everything happening and all these companies now making going XL now. We thought 2024 was going to be the year of the XL. It's really 2025 now.
2025 is the year of the full size.
The full size, the FU units. That's right. J Rod, thank you so much, man, for stopping by. Big FU to all. Let's go, Glenn. Dan Z is in the house. Dan, I want to everybody wish Dan Z today. He turns 50 years old. Happy birthday, Dan Z.
Happy birthday, Dan Z. Yep, absolutely.
Let's go. Yeah, that's awesome. Let's see here. Scrolling out. Provolone Joe is in the house. Danny is all about to own Tuesday nights. I hope so, man. I hope so. We got to find a time slot, right? PG's in the house. Thank you so much, man, for stopping by. See what else we got. We got Tim York. Let's go. C North. Brooklyn Menace in the house. Rich Odello. What's going on? King Midas is here. I trust everyone is golden. Love it. Absolutely love it. Jason, thank you so much, man, for stopping by as well and being here, helping moderate the channel with Julio Hernandez and the rest of our great
When does he
moderators that we
sleep?
got going on. He
When does he
doesn't
sleep?
actually. Yeah, he's on Discord with me all the time too. After the fact, like it's insane. Like he does not. He takes a big cat nap during the
I
day. I think.
really do think he's an AI. He's just like a virtual human.
Well, then I would be fooled. I mean, much like those bots that they had at CES, this is insane. Like Terminator 2 is taking over. This is a real thing. It's just creepy. John Jay, thank you so much, man, for stopping by. And everybody else, Goofy Foot, thank you so much, man, for being here, guys. Guys, if you haven't already, give the video a like before we get started. I mean, Glenn, the last time I had you on the show, it's maybe like a year ago. I mean, we were talking before the show here. Time flies. And I know that during that time, Glenn, like, you were talking, you were kind of dropping some bombshell news. This is where like New Wave Toys was gonna make like an XL unit or like close to a full size. I guess you could say what 9/10 scale is kind of like the term now. And we were all hyped. We were excited. I know I was. I wanted some competition to Arcade One Up because if anything, like the more products, the more better. More competition is going to make everybody better.
Right.
It's going to give the consumer a lot more
Yeah.
choices instead of being locked into
Right.
that.
When you have one or two people out there doing something, I'm not saying you're not going to, but the chance of getting a really high quality item at a good price, it's like with anything. When Apple comes out with a brand new product, it's always expensive. Then competition. You got Android out there. We still have Blackberries, right? Are Blackberries still around there? Out there?
I
Windows
think
CE
so.
phones,
They're
Zunes. Are they out
they got
still?
like reinvented, right? Like I think they're a little bit
But the
better
but
now.
the
They're
but the
different, yeah.
point is, the more people in the space, number one, you get some innovation, right? That's important. You have quality. Someone's got to build you a better cabinet. I'm gonna outdo you. I'm gonna do them.
Hmm.
Then you guys, the price wars start. I mean, look at the
Yeah.
original video games and computers with a Commodore. If Commodore was like wasn't out there with the 64 and knocking that price down constantly, do you think computers would have gotten as cheap as they did eventually? So competition is always good for everyone, especially the consumer.
And any format too. This goes well beyond home arcade. So long and short, like I guess how did we get to like where we are now? Because this whole, you broke news. I know you were working with New Way Toys, you were doing the trackball for Golden Tee, and we are excited about that product for sure. And then future kind of control panels and things of that nature. But how did we get really like here? Was it during that time where you said, huh, like maybe I can just do something since nobody else is gonna really come out with what the hardcore home arcade enthusiast is really looking for?
I wish I could say yes, but no. For me personally, I've had this dream back when honestly when like I first got MAME, like MAME version 0.02, whatever the earliest version was. I always wanted to build my own cabinet. However, as much as I have the great ideas up here and thoughts and things, I'm not good with wood. you know, I can make it, but is it going to look pretty? It is not. So always had the idea to do something along those lines, and it just kind of got progressive because back in 2018, Arcade One Up did come on the scene, and fortunately, they built a really nice little machine with the crappiest spinner on the planet in their Tempest asteroid machine. And I had a Facebook group back then. Back then it was the official Arcade One Up Global fan page, and I was reached out by T Sticks. They'd reached out to me at that point because they had designed a spinner, and they said, "Listen, we can make the spinner work with this machine. You want to work with us?" And I did, and that's when that first spinner came out in 2018. And from that point, more products started coming out from there, and my ideas were able to now come to fruition. I mean, I even have a 3D printer, but it takes me like 10 years to design like a square. But thankfully with T-Sticks, we have great engineers there. We have excellent electrical guys, and I can come up with the ideas and work with them, saying, "Listen, this is how it has to be. This is how it has to work. This is what we want to come out with next." And also working with Gary from Arcade Workshop because that's where, like with the Build a Cage. So the full size, the FU started as the 1/6 scale Build a Cage,
Okay.
and the whole reason that came about was because I had a 3D printer, and the bed was only big enough to make a 1/6 scale
Yeah.
machine.
Yeah.
So that's kind of we started, but we also make the best controllers. We make the best spinners, trackballs, the flight yoke, Tron stick. We have encoders. We have the Akari Warriors. We have all these different controllers, right? And I love working with other companies, but sometimes you got to say to yourself, they're not making how I would want to make it. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, they're making their machines. They have their reasons, their costs, their vision, but I've also had my vision.
Mhm.
And the Build-A-Cade FU is really Glenn gone wild because I'm putting all of my ideas into this, even to where my own team is like, Glenn, we can't do that. And then I got to convince them. Then like, oh, okay, I guess we could do that. And that's what's coming from. So I said this before and I'll say it again. To me, not that I'm done, but this is my Avengers Endgame. For the past 6 years, instead of 10 years, I've been building up my Iron Man spinner and
Dude, I
my
love
Thor
that analogy.
trackball
Yeah.
and my Ant-Man Tron stick. All those things built up uh, and to get to where I am right now. And this FU unit, and again, if anyone knows anything about me as a person, as a human being, and as someone who's been in the community, I care about the product. I care about how it works, how it feels. I care about the how it gets to you guys, how it is easy to assemble, and quality stuff. So take if you take anything away from this entire FU project, understand that the price I'm releasing it for, which already is an incredible, saying under $1,000 for all the features we have in here, it's an even better value because of that. But also when you get it, I'm telling you, it's going to be a game changer in the industry for two reasons. One, it's because it's gonna be an awesome product. That's the one. But two, we talked about it before. Competition is better. So I'm hoping other people will see what I can do, and then they'll step up. We're only gonna have better things for the community. That's what it's all about. It's not about
Yeah,
me.
100%.
It's about
100%.
the community and helping everyone get the best they can have for, and for the it's mostly for the dollars. Because
Mhm.
I know how hard I work for the money. I know how other people work hard for the money. Why can't they have something good for or great or fantastic for that money? Why does it always have to be 4 or 5 or $10,000 to get something good quality? Why? I don't see it that way. And am I making anything from it? Not really. However, hopefully people are happy over it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people see, just take, for example, one of the newer products that came out, the XXL Street Fighter, for example, like, that one's gonna have light up coin doors. That's something Arcade One Up we're really just kind of picky and choosy on. I don't know why. Because if you look behind me, all the doors are lit up. That's how they're supposed to be, right? You don't just do it on two cabs and then all these 10 no. And it's like now your arcade looks broken. Like, so it's those little improvements each and every year. Even you can break it down to 6 months, but if companies got your product in, oh wow, okay, this is how maybe we should, let's take this apart real quick and take a look at this. I mean, companies do this all the time. Buy stuff arcades, you bought the claw machines so they can kind of see and tinker with it and mess around. GI Joel, good friend of mine, does this all the time as well. Like, you got to get your hands on the product to really, like a tinkerer has really got to see and kind of dissect it, and just take it all apart and see how it can be made, how can it be improved. And I mean, you've done that better than anyone that I know of. I mean, look at behind you. Like, that's literally what your life is. It's a mad scientist.
It is.
Um,
And the whole point of the word, the two parts of the name, right? There's Build-A-Cade and there's FU. The Build-A-Cade part of it is something I do want you guys to put together so you kind of learn it. But it is it doesn't necessarily have to stay that way. I love when people innovate and even do things to improve or just make it different or better. And then FU is the full size part. But even in the 1/6 scale Build-A-Cade, we've had people we have 3D printed parts that change the design of the cab from the Build-A-Cade style to a miniature Donkey Kong or cabinet, and that's kind of where that goes from too. So the point is, my machine is basically your ultimate starting point. You can leave the machine. I think it looks great black as it is. I know people have said it's got no artwork, blah, blah, but it's not supposed to have artwork. It's supposed to be
yeah.
what you want to put on it. We have very good high quality partners. We have Joe Sabos, we got Arcade Graphics, we got Escape Pod, there's others who will do artwork better than I will ever do artwork. I am not an artist. They will design that artwork for the either the stock machine or the Glentendo style.
and
Thanks. That's console kits. I have to give him his kudos for that one on there.
yeah,
That's what they the artwork you want. Why add price and cost of artwork they're most likely not going to use?
and that's the thing too. It's like, you guys, in the community, I want to let this be known. Like, do you really want multi-cade artwork on this? I love At Games, got an NDA with them, right? But the artwork looks like poo. And Arcade One Up, you put all the names of the games on there. That's not artwork. Like, so a lot of these companies, when it comes to multi-cades, kind of just cheap out on the artwork because they don't need to make it arcade authentic. It's just slap a bunch of stuff
Right.
on there and you're gonna reskin it anyways, right? Almost prefer that this would be black because I don't have to look at that, because 9 times out of 10 you're gonna take the coin door, try to flip it over if you can, so you don't see any of those games lists on there, and do what smash the cabinet between two so you don't see the artwork. So to your credit, if you can bring it down 50, 100, 150 bucks, I mean that's a win. That's a
It
win
is.
in general to try to get
And
down to that price point.
again, I think it looks fine in the black as it is, but I will probably add artwork to it. Like, I haven't even decided what I want mine to be yet. I mean, obviously, I want a full size Nintendo style cabinet, so it
I
might be
think most,
along
yeah,
those lines. But again, it's the different features you can get. Like, we're partnering with Al Link, and Al Link makes the Pixel and LCD marquee, so you can stick with a standard marquee. It'll light up with an LED. But if you do want to go the next step, as you pick games, it scrolls and it'll show you. And I've not shied away from saying this either. At some point, I mean, we're in 2025 right now, and we're seeing in CES this year foldable displays, laptops. You can scroll the screen. I'm telling you, I will be the first, or try to be the first to market to actually wrap an entire machine, whether it's by starting with 1/6 or the FU in LCD. So when you pick the game, you won't have the artwork, because all the artwork and every port of that machine will change to be that
that's
cabinet.
insane.
So that is my well, let's have to end game. They don't have anything right now. Whatever the next big Marvel movie is,
That'll be the
that'll be that.
multiverse. That'll be
Right.
the multiverse. But
Right.
I love the end game reference. That's so funny because
Well,
you got a
for me, it
trackball
really
here, a
is.
spinner there. Yeah, that's insane. That's so
You
good.
build up some companies. Here's the thing too. With the FU and all of the stuff, almost, not all, but almost all parts of it are in-house designed. So we have direct control over the costs, direct control over the quality of the spinners and the
Mm.
joysticks and everything. That is an advantage, because I know all the parts I'm going to put in there. I know the quality that they're at. So if I were to make all the parts, why not go one step further and just build the cabinet and give people that option to have it? You don't have to. There's a lot of great cabinet manufacturers out there. Even some of my partners, I work with American Gear Company. They build a fantastic cabinet. I work with X Arcade. They build great tank stick, but they also have a stand-up machine if I put it in there. And there's other ones we're partnering with now that I can't talk about just yet because we're finishing up some things. But you know, all it's really another option for you guys. Is mine perfect for everyone? No, and it's not perfect for everyone. But it's perfect for somebody, someone who wasn't perfect with the other machines out there. That's kind of my hope, really.
And that's a good thing. Like, you say nothing's gonna be perfect for anybody. 100%. Like the products that came up for CES, people had concessions on whether it's side art, whatever, right? So like, but that's always it's good to hear that feedback, but people are always gonna be like hypercritical, right? And again, we talked about other companies pushing each other to try to get better. It's cool to get some of the feedback and on the community because it helps people like yourself say, huh, I never thought of that. Like, that's really what you guys want. Okay, let me just see if that can even happen. You make a model of it, you're like, oh cow, that actually can work. And I guess the biggest thing is we saw that a lot with the 19-inch rotatable screen, going to a 26-inch, that you have possibility. Now you got options now. And I love that because a lot of the times, we're stuck on a product. Okay, I'll take that product, but gonna have to modify it. Gonna have to give it light up coin doors. I'm gonna have to change the marquee or whatever the case may be. Gonna have to make it a 2-player from a 4-player, raise it up. There's all this stuff you got to do. It's cool that like that's already done from a professional, like factory level standpoint. Because I love modding, but it'll never get to like a factory like machine doing it. We can apply side art, but sometimes it might be a little bubbly. Sometimes the X-Acto knife didn't get in there. But if a machine does it, much different, much
I
different.
don't know. I got a lot of arcade one-ups that started was on pretty crappy. So I don't know if that's even true. So I think I could have done a lot better than they did.
Hey, that's it. There you go. That's good. Want to get to this real quick. Vital, big member of the channel as always. $10 super chat. Thanks for having Glenn on. I love his products and may eventually get the FU cab. We'll definitely throw some money at a Kickstarter, but don't really need a machine regardless. Appreciate his efforts, Vital. Thank you so much, man, for supporting the channel.
Appreciate that. And we're probably not going to do a Kickstarter. We're probably just going to do a standard pre-order. I think that'll end up being the case. We're touring a lot of ideas. Again, a lot of times, when I come up with my ideas, I don't even tell my team. I gotta shock them into it, because I give them stuff that they think is almost impossible at times. So I kind of got to say, I already made the announcement. It's made, so we got to make it happen. Big example of that was the iArcade KVM switcher. My team had no idea when I announced that, and we made that happen. But again, that's how we innovate. They say nope, it can't be done. But you know what? There's not human mind, human ingenuity really has no limits. So there's no such thing as you can't be done. I never forget when I heard it was a Disney movie called The Black Hole. It can't be done is in like the dictionary of fools. It means yes, it can be done. Just figure out a way. Think outside the box. There's always a way to do something. There's never
There's a will,
not a
there's a
way
way.
unless you give up
100%.
and don't
Yep.
give up.
Yep, that's the only. That's getting a lot of love here in the chat. Look at Ken here. I bought the wrong trackball from you, but he gave me the right one for free. Thank you, Glenn. Don't tell anybody else. Right? Let's keep that on the down low. That's funny. Okay, so we got to this point now. So we got the FU has been announced. Now there's been some changes. I'm curious, just as like the consumer in me. I know you're taking this from the little guys behind you.
Right.
But what came to that design? Because that's not like, is that because you wanted it to be like your kind of cabinet design? Trying to do something different because it's not like a midway style. It's not a Dynamo, a Capcom style. It's just kind of like your own. Now, are you doing that because you want to clip in the little guys and you want to make it a Nintendo cab, or what? What is?
Well,
How did you get to that
here's the
design?
thing. I love when people. There's a certain like a few people I keep saying it's not an arcade cabinet design. It's an ugly design. Doesn't look like a real arcade. Hate to break the news to everyone. The cabinet is a Nintendo cabinet, and we simply cut out an area, and that was the Build-A-Cade. And then we 3D printed parts to put it back to make a Nintendo cab. So everyone who says that it is not a real arcade cabinet or it's an ugly cabinet, hate to tell you, then you're calling Nintendo's cabinets ugly because that's what it is at its base. As you
So
can see it in
that's
the top shelf there, my Nintendo cabinets, and then next to it are Build-A-Cades. It's the same exact cabinet, but we cut a tear shape out on the side when we made it to Build-A-Cade because that was originally going to be it. And then I said, you know what? People really do want a little Donkey Kong or a Popeye. I know I do. So we said, let's 3D print the part, and it just literally clips in, and then you back that. So to anyone who's watching this one or watches this in a reviewing of it, and you were the one who says it's an ugly cap, it's not a real arcade machine. Hate to break it to you, it is. So sorry.
yeah, and I wanted to ask that because I kind of seen that question like floating around everywhere, and so there's your answer, guys. There's your answer. Weissel coming up with another good question. Do you know yet how much this thing is gonna weigh?
Not entirely. So originally it was basically an aircraft carrier. It was like 300 pounds, but you could literally attack a small country with it. So we did the first redesign, and it got to around 200 pounds, and that was the one we show you in the background there. That's the one that's behind me there. It's this everything's mirrored. That screen over there. There we go.
Yeah.
So that was the first design. You can see the marquee area is way too big. So that was just our prototype. So we've just redesigned it, and actually I can show you real quick here.
Yeah, you can bring up anything you want
Bang.
picture wise. There you go.
So this is the redesign, and we're cutting it right now. So this will be hopefully the version. So the one on the left there is the 26-inch, and then the one on the right is the rotating 19-inch. You see a piece of plexiglass that's covering the area, and you can see on the 26-inch there'll be two little handles that you can actually go in, grab it, pull it, and rotate it 90 degrees. We'll still put a sensor back there, so when you do rotate it, the Viper Venom or whatever you have connected will know the screen rotated, and it will adjust accordingly. But obviously, the 19-inch does it all by itself. It's electronic. So you see the cabinet design here. What that looks like? People saying this doesn't look like a real arcade machine. It looks like it built in my basement. Well, yeah, it was built in my basement, but that is a Nintendo cab with a small piece cut out of it, which is the hood they put back in. So to all the detractors saying it's not a real cabinet, again, hate to break it to you, but the ultimate point here is that 26-inch screen was the original concept. It was always the original concept. It didn't work out initially, but then Michael B was like that little kid at the candy store. "Oh, I just want that one Matchbox car. I want the Matchbox car. And he haunted me long enough to where we wore everyone down. And I was working with Unico, and Unico was always great to work with. It's just initially just didn't work out. But we were able to strike out a deal, and it'll be included. But me personally, I'm still in love with the 19-inch electronic rotating screen. That was again my vision, what I've always wanted for multiple years, and so that's the one I really want to have. Um, to me, standing right in front of the machine, the 19-inch is an arcade cabinet from my generation. That's why I kind of change it. I'm from the 70s and 80s. So in the 70s and 80s, you had usually a maximum of a 19-inch screen, and that was it. Now, from the 90s past, you have the 25 up to, however big screens get. So I do understand why, like Michael Bean, some people want that 26. Because if you grew up in that Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles era, it was over 26-inch screen size. But for me, I'm fine with the 19-inch. I think a lot of people will be. But I do think, and I say it all the time, it's better to have choices than not. I'd rather give people options and have the ability to get what they want.
Yeah, like again, the whole show here is like the theme is options. This program is insane. I'm looking at this thing, I'm just getting lost in it. You got all like, is this how you make the like? Is this AutoCAD or what is this?
This, I believe, we're running this in Fusion 360, I believe.
This it shows everything, Chad. You got the wooden dolls in there. Like this thing is. So is this what you send over to like the people that make it, and they just
Yes.
have the
Yep.
blueprints
And
essentially?
just so I'm gonna pause it here real quick. Oh, I actually made it go away. I wanted to pause it. Think. Pause it right there. So the other thing too is, again, the whole point of this and T Sticks and GRS is to work with as many people as possible. It's a community. I'm with the community, and I want people in the community to, I don't want to say make a profit, but obviously going to sell things that will hopefully give them some profit. So all of the dimensions will be given to the artwork people, right? So to make sure they're printing the perfect artwork, whether it's vinyl, whether it's acrylic, whatever they want to use will be there. But also the decks. We're going to have a bunch of interchangeable decks, but there's going to be a lot more decks than we're even going to make. So why we can't make them all? So we have partners like 99 Lives Arcade or Do It Yourself Retro Arcade or other dimensions of the deck, and then they can make their own. Because basically, it's just going to be an interface where it just slides in and locks in place. There's no tools needed. It'll be literally just slide, press, pull, remove, and a USB connector. I originally wanted what's called pogo pins, which are really just pads, pads and little pins that would just touch in those spots. But that's going to add cost to third parties. What's easy? A USB Type A. So we're trying to save them along those lines. Trying to make it simple. And what really surprised me, honestly, was the coin door. I had a lot of people saying, why are you putting a real coin door in? Can you put in a fake one? Why in the world would I want to put a fake coin door in this machine? It blew me away. And the answer is no. I will not put a fake coin door in. I want a real coin door. You don't have to put coins in it. You can. If you put coins in, it'll take credits. But you can also put credits in, other ways. But
Mhm.
why in God's green earth would I put in a fake plastic coin door? This is
I
a
the
real coin door.
the first thing that comes to my mind is just that's what we're used to here in the home arcade community.
Well, that's why
We're
I'm here
just
to show you. It's not.
there's a whole new
We're
way, right?
better.
There's a whole exactly, and I think because Arcade One Up was just like the main player. Let's just take it for what it is. I mean, no other company really truly stepped up. We had other companies that tried. At Games is kind of doing their thing with the pinball now, and it's like that's what we're kind of just grown to a custom of. This is the standard. This is what we're used to, and it's gonna be great. Even like the John D cab that's coming out from John D Joint, your cab. I mean, New Wave Toys in the future. I mean, all these companies starting to really like step it up, really step it up. I mean, they're making them bigger. That I even took a look at the future. Like, I'm gonna have to get rid of these deluxes and sell them and kind of transform to extra large arcades. And I always try to look at the glass half full, right? Because in reality, I was fine with these. More games, more better, right, Glenn? We want to replicate the real home arcade. Like the real arcade. You see Killer Instinct, you see all these titles, and multi-cade just for me I never got that sense of nostalgia, like walking the floors of the arcade. Plus, we got a family, and everybody. If they're playing the one machine, I gotta be able to play something else. So that is what really drew me into it. And then I'm like looking, I'm like, wow, like I'm really gonna have to get on board or get out of the way. So I started thinking the positives. I'm like, well, yeah, they're bigger. I guess that would mean my eyesight would be better because I'm 6 foot. Hey, you get a 19-inch screen, like what you were telling me, and it's like you start to look at some of these positives. So now yours, like, wow, like you got this 19-inch rotating screen. I could go to a 26-incher, and I'm used to a 17-inch screen. That's gonna
Right.
be ridiculous.
It
Like
is.
a real coin door, like that's cool. Like it, like like coin into play kind of thing.
And
Like,
the other big
like
thing is when we're talking about like multi-cage, right? The big thing about multi-cage is not all, but a lot of them are. It's a multi-cage with two joysticks, or maybe two joysticks and a trackball, or two trackball, or a trackball and a spinner. And that's what you get to be a real multi-cage. And again, you have to play the games the way they were meant to be played. If you don't have the
mhm.
right controls, a multi-cage is going to suck because you're not playing the game the way it's supposed to be. And that's was again my thing where yes, I'm going to include I call it the iArcade Ultimate Control Panel, but we can just call it the Ultimate Control Panel. That will have two joysticks in it. We'll have a trackball in it that lights up. We'll have two spinners, and we'll have the gate switchers for 4 and 8 way. But that's good for getting it. Right, you got the machine. You can play a ton of games with that. But you really need the right controls for other games. You want to play flight games or Star Wars games, you need the GRS flight yoke. Or hell, have 99 lives, build it with you had an Allen one, or you already have a yoke, put it in there and connect it that way. You want to play great games like Akari Warriors or Heavy Barrel or Frontline. You need the Akari sticks. You got to pop in that control panel. You can't play that any other way. You want to play Tron and Disotron the right way? You put that controller in. I'm picturing Battlezone, tank games. I'm two sticks there with the buttons on it. Uh, we kind of talked before show, but I've talked about it in other things. Paperboy. We're gonna have a Paperboy controller. 720. No one really has that type of controller out there. So when you purchase the FU, or again, you could purchase the parts separately and made it to anything you want. But the point of the build kit is you just click it in, and when you're not using it, you pull it out, open the bottom, slide it in the storage spot, close it. The wife doesn't kill you because she doesn't see stuff laying all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. How many? I know that's a really cool feature too. We didn't even talk about like storing those control panels in there. How many control panels can you store in that space? Are you looking at 1, 3, or anything like that?
I'm hoping at least 4 in the front, but it's going to depend because obviously the Tron stick is be taller than the yoke will be, and the
Yeah.
Akari stick's not quite as tall as others. So it really is going to depend on the decks that you purchase. But I would say probably about 4 in the front. And honestly, there is more room in the back of the unit. Now, in the back of the unit is where if you didn't want to use the Viper Venom, and you had a full size, beast machine with 15 video cards in it, and pumping out 400 kilowatts of power. If you don't have that back there, there's more storage in the back of the machine.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, you could almost, and I don't know how hard this would be, but just looking at it, you could almost like double click the coin, the whole kick plate open, and then you could store a bunch of control panels there if that was possible. Yeah. Like you push in the upper left hand corner, right? And the whole thing just opens up like a door, right? Like a
Yeah.
secret door. And then you
Well,
could almost
that's what it does. So the coin door, if you can see, if you look on the left hand side, there's a lock. So we have actually this has 4 locks. You have the coin door's got a lock. That front fascia, the kick plate you talked about, does open. You can
Oh, okay,
choose it.
cool.
You can open it from the left, or you can open it from the right. When you build it, you choose which way you want it to open,
Oh,
and
that's
that's where
awesome.
all the decks store. And I think it was in a video somewhere.
I thought the
Open it.
deck stored where that purple, like right underneath the control panel. Doesn't look like it though. I thought that opened up. So that's better then. That'll house more control panels.
It's
While you're
probably
cycling through, I know the fourth horseman had a quick question here.
you,
He
can-
was
you, can-
saying
yeah. Cool.
he's Glenn said he was using very strong MDF board. Does that mean HDF boards? Are those significantly stronger?
I'll be able to answer that once we finalize and everything. But I will say, originally it was supposed to be uh, wood. It was supposed to be wood. But again, I'm not an engineer. I'm not someone who ships things between countries. So when we did the research on it, um, wood has to go through all these different legislative things and tests because wood can contain mold, wood can get parasites, wood can have things.
Oh,
So because of that, it would have been a big expense. It would have been an expense just getting qualified to make it out of wood. So using MDF, there's none of those constraints. And if anyone has my iArcade Ultimate Control Panel, can attest that our MDF is strong. I'm going to put it against the Mrs. Kong's, Mr. Kong's stand-on test. If anyone remember him with his Tron unit,
oh
when he
yeah, the
broke it,
Tron, yeah.
I'll put it up against that. But if you look real quick on this picture right here, you can see the front right behind the coin door. When you open up that door, that's where all the decks would go,
Cool.
right
That's
there.
awesome. Yeah. I love this program. You can literally see everything. So there you go, chat. You can see it and let it rip. Let's see. Scrolling down the chat here, Thor KC says, I think 19-inch screen is a great choice for legit retro games. 26 inches needed for shooter games. I never really even thought about that, Glenn. You think about, you see this, you're like, you immediately go to Nintendo, you want to like emulate Donkey Kong and all that stuff. And you're like, oh, wait a second. You take the panels off and you could get like a really cool shooter. You can do Time Crisis, House of Dead, whatever you want, right? This is literally whatever you want. And wow, like to just think about that, a shooter on a 26-inch screen, I'm literally used to these 17-inch screens. I got the 32-inch on the at games, but that's, vertical and you're playing pinball. But a shooter for that, wow, like seeing that is 100% true. Like
Yep.
literally whatever you want to do. So that's another great option. Um, Thumper Squid says, Glenn, your presentation is incredibly well organized and insightful. You always bring fresh ideas to the table. Really appreciate your dedication to the community. Let's go, Thumper. Love it, love
I
it. So,
appreciate it. Thumper Squid is I appreciate that. And again, that's what it's really all about. I'm not a company out to sell, 50,000 units and making a $4 million profit. That's not what I'm doing. So I'm doing this so you guys can have something at home that you guys can enjoy and share with the family and friends and get them together. That's the bigger thing. Because I
and
really
Glenn,
do think families are not what they used to be. And if we can get them together for a while and play some games, there we go.
that's really what I changed, because you come up with a great point. Everybody's just buried in their cell phone. Everybody, dude. I want chat. I want you guys to really think about this, okay? So like I make it a point. Yeah, there's tablet time because I have toddlers. I got 2 toddlers. We got a 10-year-old. Like we get it, right? They're gonna have their video games and they're gonna have their tablet time. But I mean, just getting together, when the pandemic started, this whole home arcade craze started. I picked up an Xbox. I was like, hey, I'll play some Madden, some Call of Duty like I used to. Didn't really have the disposable income too. We got our pandemic checks. We were all sitting at home, right? And when I got that, I had my daughter at the time, and she just wanted to always see what I was doing. And I'm like, you know what? I'm really not going to be able to do this like I used to do this. You're not going to be able to put your headset on and just get in your zone. I got kids now.
Right.
And the way we stumbled upon this home arcade, I saw a third floor arcade with Jason, Michael be the game genie. They had incredible rooms. I'm like, I want that. That looks insane. We got a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade one up, the one on the riser with the wings, and our family just gravitated towards it. All the different games they could play, and the nostalgia of the side art brought me to a time, and I always say this, chat, where my parents brought me to Poochie's in Chicago, a little hot dog joint, give me a couple of quarters when we're done, me and my brother, when we would play Mortal Kombat, for about like 5 minutes, because the quarters ran fast back then, right? And that reminded me of something like, hey, it's retro nostalgia. Like, this is where it's at. This is truly where it's at, because these games don't die. I always say this, like, you don't play, NBA 2K19, right? No, it's outdated rosters, outdated graphs. Like, that stuff doesn't sustain. Retro stays and continues to evolve. And it's back. Much like a lot of other things that kind of cycle through, retro is back. Like, arcades are back, bar arcades are back. I mean, we've seen movies off of this. So it's so cool to like get on that train of excitement to really teach your kids. My kids love this stuff. I mean, my daughter comes to me, she's 4. She's like, Daddy, can you turn the cornercade on? She says cornercade. And I have to explain to her, she thinks each individual machine is a cornercade. I'm like, no. These are arcades and they're in the cornercade.
Don't
And
correct her. She had it right the first time.
yeah, she got the right. Yeah. And she has been, I, she's been whooping ass in Crystal Castles and Pac-Man. Glenn, she's gotten to level 5 in Crystal Castles.
Well, let me tell you
Like,
something. When I
she's
grew up,
4.
they said video games won't amount to anything. Now she can make millions of dollars doing, playing games in competition. So train her now.
Honestly, like the world that we evolve into, I mean, you can even be a content creator and share your passion for something. Like, that wasn't a thing back when I was a kid. There wasn't even the internet then. We barely had cell phones. So it is crazy to see just how far things progress and how far everyone's home arcade has progressed. I mean, people send me room tours all the
I've
time.
seen some amazing,
It's
amazing rooms.
it's
Amazing rooms.
insane. Glenn, I had one time, somebody, and it always sticks to me. It was in their basement. They had 9 like TVs attached to each other, and it was me and my wife on our like the cornercade logo posing like that, and we were plastered in somebody's home arcade. And they had one of those, those mini jumbotrons. You always see those
Yeah.
in those like rec room. Yeah. So he had the our podcast show playing right over the pool table. I'm like, it blew my mind. Like, it was insane. Like, you guys are literally the heartbeat of the home arcade community. Absolutely incredible. But circling back to Glenn's product now. So let's start top to finish. We went over to kind of like the marquee design. So if you want to, it comes with an LED strip, and you can just slide in your marquee from like Sabos. And if you want something more, you get the L one, and then you can kind of do your own thing and have it switch with the games.
Right.
Do you know how much that would possibly cost as an add-on, or is that still something that's being kind of worked on?
Still be worked on. So all the pricing we're still finalizing. We're not far from it though. I'm hoping to have that maybe before the end of the month. We can finally nail down like all the prices
Okay.
and everything. but I will still say, we're still going for under $1,000 on the base unit, which has a ton of features, and then it's the options. It's just, do you want a 26-inch screen or no? Do you want a bit pixel or LCD pixel display or no? Do you want to have additional control panels now? Buy them later. Whatever you want to do. Or just get the base unit and you do things yourself. It's a kit, but when it comes out of the box, it's got the arcade software on there, which is phenomenal. I could say we have a fully licensed game in there, The New Adventures of Robbie Roto. I always tout that. I like that game. But there is, if you accept the license agreement, meaning that you are entitled to certain games because you own the copies of the games, you can download hu- tens of thousands if you have, 'cause some people do have collections. I've seen people have collections of tens of thousands, like, Metal Jesus Rocks, and even Steve Haywood. He's got a huge collection of NES and games. So if you have that, you can just pick them, and it just puts them where they're supposed to go as the artwork, and you're done. Um,
That's really cool. So I'm not familiar with like that platform or arcade. I'm not familiar with that. So like for people in the chat that are kind of asking some questions here, I see it. I even saw one question. It's like, hey, Julio was like, "Hey, Glenn, you make all this cool stuff. You should get with Arcade One Up and do that." No, no, no. We've been down that
well,
road
that's the
before.
thing. Well, if he didn't, maybe he doesn't know. I kind of already tried that. In fact, I
Mhm.
had the original fan page in 2018. I was very good friends with Scott Baccarat back in the day. I thought things were great. There's a lot of communication back and forth. They were going to use my products all of a sudden. I didn't realize that meant they were just going to take and use it and not not compensate us. But that's kind of what
Yeah,
happened there.
yeah,
And the ultimate kick in the face to me from Arcade One Up was, they literally offered me $10,000, $10,000 when they had the issue with the Tron machine. That was the deal. I'll pay $10,000 for it. I turned down $10,000, saying, "Listen, I don't want the money. I want to help you guys build a better machine for you guys out there." And Arcade One Up rather just says, they basically told me to go fuck off. Go, they didn't pay me the money 'cause I didn't want it. I wanted to work with them for free, not pay me for free. So the FU and everything seeing with the FU would have been at some point in different parts of Arcade One Up, but they rather sell you junk. That was their
yeah.
thing.
I've learned with Arcade One Up is that they believe that they are the smartest ones in the building. From their actions, that's just kind of
And look where they
what
are
I kind of
today.
gauge. Yeah,
And look where
it's
they are today.
yeah. So I mean, if you don't, you always got to evolve. I'll tell you, if you don't own a company, you're an employee of a company, whatever the
Well,
case may be. If you stop learning,
two
you're done. You're
things. You
toast.
do have to evolve, but also you can't constantly rape and pillage your community and expect them to keep respecting you as an organization or a company.
Mm,
And
yeah,
there's
yeah.
too many times where, you know, it's a limited edition. You better pre-order it. Next thing you know, you paid $500 for something, and you go to Walmart, and it's $13.55 because they made too many.
That's one thing. That's one thing I've learned is to not pre-order. That's what I want
Unless
to.
it's GRS product, we always come through.
There you go. Yeah, put the commercial in, right? Okay, so Marky, I'm kind of going down the cab. We talked about the screen here. We talked about the different control bezels. There's gonna be team molding on this, right? Just kind of looking at that. Not
It would be
re-
real team molding. And my team, I'm going to be honest, they're really big on Chrome team molding. So I'm fighting that battle right now. I don't think Chrome team molding is the way to go.
no, no,
Uh,
don't do that. Do
I
black.
agree.
Do
I would
black.
like to
Yeah,
go for something a little more black, literally black or white. It's something along
yeah,
those lines. But it is a real arcade team molding. So you can go into Amazon, purchase real team molding, and it pulls right out, and you can change it all that you want. But again, I'm not going to give too many choices on that because if we have to stock it, it raises costs. So that's
yeah,
where we're at right now. We're going to offer something at a price where you're going to get all these great things, but I don't want to say expected, but my hope is you would say, okay, I want it customized. I want it made this way. Think of it this way. How many of you out there buy a car, especially guys? You buy a car. You don't tell the dealership, I want to have this done, this done, this done. No, no. You buy the car, you go to the auto parts store, you start adding the turbo on, you start adding the new rims on it, you start adding exhausts on it. That's what this is. If you ever did something along those lines, that's what I'm giving you here. Here's your car. Trick it out.
yeah. 100%. Like, yeah, don't do the Chrome team molding. Like, I think everybody saw Killer Instinct Pro, and we're like, yeah, no, don't do the Chrome. That's my
I,
one
I I
2 cents.
agree. I agree.
Real coin door. Talked about that. Trying to think. I know people like Weisel here were kind of concerned about the weight being an issue. It's hard. You dance that fine line, right, Glenn? It's either too light and it's shaking around. And you can push it with one pinky finger, or it's too heavy, I can't get it up the stairs. It's like, where is
Well,
that?
well, obviously it's going to come most likely. So you build it yourself, so you probably build it where you need it to go. However, it will be two parts, and there'll be the base, and there's the I don't know, the tabletop part of it. However, it is a very big tabletop. I wouldn't recommend using it as a tabletop, but if you wanted to, you could. But on the machine itself, I don't know if you saw it before. If I go further down here, go further. Where are you? Do, 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 do. We actually have caster wheels underneath it, so you can tilt it and you can at least roll it along. Where in the world are you? There. Oh, there we are. There you go.
Oh
So you
wow,
can
look at that.
see we have the four rubber feet, and then all the way in the back there are two caster wheels, which I thought I paused it, but I guess I did not.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
so at least you can, if you have it in a general area you want it to be, you can simply tilt it. It'll roll and then go back on the feet and not move. So
That's
again,
awesome. I like
it's a,
that.
it's a
Yeah.
hard thing to judge. I do get it. But again, I'm not building a quarter scale or a half scale. I'm not building a home cheap light machine. I am building that Zaxxon for you guys. That Zaxxon's 255 pounds. It's an arcade machine. This thing
Yeah.
you could take into an arcade, have people put quarters in if you want to. Don't do it, but you could. That's
Mhm.
what I want you guys to have. I want you to have a real machine. You can go out and buy a Porsche 911, or you can buy a Fiero with a Ferrari body kit. I mean, what do you want to do? I'd rather sell you the good car to begin with,
Yeah,
and then you
yeah,
can trick that up versus take a Fiero with a Ferrari body kit on it.
do we have the dimensions of this thing? Like, how high is it?
The height was 68.9 inches. That's the height, and it's all I can release right now. Because again, remember the original one we built, the marquee was a little wrong. It was a little too wide.
Yeah,
The dimensions
yeah.
weren't right. So
Mhm.
we just finished it, and as soon as we build this, if we give this a thumbs up, I can release the weight, I can release the cost, I can release all the final dimensions for artwork and the control deck. All that would follow at that point.
Beautiful,
But right
beautiful.
now, I
Yeah.
can definitely tell you it's 68.9 inches tall.
So that's, I mean, that's gonna fit into your, the future, guys, and you got to get on. I was telling you before the show, like the future is gonna be XL, XXL. There's gonna be these more full size machines. Unless you guys want to stick it out with Arcade One Up and just take another Pac-Man and Street Fighter. If you want to evolve with new and fresh titles and new and fresh form factors and body styles, you got to get on the XL train, and this would fit in just well. I mean, Tron behind you and Zaxxon behind you. Is Tron elevated any more than the stock height that it came?
It is. It's actually sitting
Okay.
on I have a pallet. Because as you can see by my half sheetrock that's missing back here, my basement is flooded,
Oh
and
yeah,
now I worry, so I keep things off the floor. So I have an emergency of
just in
four
case.
and a
Yeah.
half inches of going, Cole, get down here again.
Yeah,
And we have to
hurry!
whip stuff up
Somebody.
the stairs.
Yeah. I like that. Hey, a lot of people have to do that, unfortunately. So, yeah, my arcade's on the second floor, so that'll probably never happen, kind of thing. But
Well,
yeah, I mean,
that's the problem we sometimes have. I mean, I have one bedroom packed with racks with aisles this thick with my consoles, and that's a whole room of just consoles and stuff. Then I have another room that I had a bunch of arcade one ups, and these were all in there. But at the time, my girlfriend who was going to move in that didn't work out at the time, so that room got emptied out. I sold the machines, and stuff's now down here. Um, but I worry because, as you know, floods can happen at any moment.
yeah, at any moment. That's a good question. Here with the 499 super chat. In the future, are you thinking about making any cocktail Mac style arcade cabinets? Like, that's an interesting form factor.
I
Yeah.
even as in the Buildicade size, I love cocktail. In fact, I had taken back in the day, I had a fish tank, and it was on this wood stand,
Yeah.
and I had an old, very large 15-inch display, and I converted that into a cocktail cabinet. So I love actually the Space Invaders cocktail cabinet. I just love that design. So maybe one day. I would say definitely not a no, definitely not tomorrow, but maybe.
In the future, I mean, you're always cooking up creations in the background. I
Well,
mean,
also remember, I,
y-
I really listen to the community. So if I hear a lot of people, want something, I'll try and make it happen. One of the things that I was really shocked hasn't really happened yet is I did a video 7 months ago now. trying to hit 10,000 views for doing a fully functional, fully working dual screen virtual pinball machine. I'm talking 7-inch main screen, 5-inch back screen, physical, mechanical plunger, accelerometers, so you just have to hit it. It would know if you're trying to tilt it.
Yeah.
Uh, V pin, and I've only got like 6,000 views. I was like, I'm really surprised that that really didn't blow up, and I would have made it already, but
Mhm.
it's not getting the traction on it.
Yeah, it's very you think one thing. I mean, people are probably for your full size unit. Are they expecting a stool and an anti fatigue mat too? Like people are. Sometimes it's just all over the place. Sometimes what people want. Carlo, thank you so much, man, for stopping by. Let's go. Hey, Danny and Glenn, chat. Let's go. Let's see here. I think we're caught up with the chats for the most part. Joe Kate says about 70, 80 pounds is like perfect middle ground. I'm sure your cab's going to weigh a little bit more than that. I would assume probably the 150 to 200 mark. And you said that the base would be flat packed, right? And the top
We're
would be
still
like kind of
we're still
shipped
trying to
or
figure that out. But if you look here again in the video, you can see if I get it to the side here a little bit. You can see what's light blue up here. That's your
yeah.
your bar top, and then there's the base. So it's actually two pieces. So even if the top is going to be more heavy because that's got the monitor in it, but you could pull the monitor out for transporting. You could pull the deck out. So again, it may be 200 pounds total, but you will be able to break it down into sub parts to move it. So it's not going to be like you're picking up 200 pounds if you needed to really move the machine around. It could be broken down into parts and moved
Yeah,
as
you
needed.
could take the like you said the monitor and the control panel because you're swapping
Yeah,
those out
that's a lot.
anyways. Yeah.
Majority of the weight, I'm saying majority, but a lot of the weight's there, and then it's just the wood. And honestly, I would say you always want two people. You just want two people to help you out.
Yeah, better safe than sorry, right?
Yeah,
I brought up the ant games by myself. I didn't think I could do that. I put on the shoulder. And I started hiking up the stairs. I was like, "Well, okay, that's got more strength than I
yeah.
thought." Like
I've moved all
that
the
thing's
stuff down
heavy.
here, and
Yeah.
it wasn't easy. I'm not, I'm not Hulk here, but I was able to do it myself.
Yeah, chat. Let me know if you guys have any questions about Glenn's new, FU multicade. I appreciate Glenn for hopping on for a little bit here. We're gonna keep it to an hour, guys, because Glenn's gotta get up at what 4 in the morning. You said
Usually, yeah, I usually wake up at that time anyway. I'm usually at work, early. I'm at work
that's
early,
that's
and so
literally my
yeah.
wife. Like that's my wife's life now. She gets up super early now. I'm not a morning
At
person, so
least I
I
don't have to
couldn't
put
do
any
that
makeup
myself.
on. I mean, I'm still good. I'm sexy without the makeup. So
Yeah, she's got to
she's
do the whole shebang. She got to, do the hair, everything, shower. It's a whole production, right? You got to drive a little bit to work too. It's not like she's working at home, kind of thing. So, but yeah, I think we went over everything. I mean, are you gonna? I guess what you have the boomstick behind you is. Are
got
you
two of them.
gonna?
Yeah, I got two
Is
of them.
yeah? Is
One
that
there, one there.
obviously that's gonna work with the FU multicade? But is
Absolutely. And
oh,
on
thank
the
you.
front of the cabinet, we have two USB ports on the control deck right there. We can plug in your Sinden light guns or my Sinden Target Pros. You can if you want to use a retro shooter. I guess you could use a retro shooter on there, whatever you wanted. But yeah, it would definitely work.
Awesome. So like multiple things would be compatible. That's really good to
Yep.
know. Um,
It's really open source, really.
Fourth Horseman says here, it says, ask if there's any shipping deals planned for this
Yes,
place.
there's definitely shipping deals planned. Yes.
There you go. Let's
We
go.
plan to ship them.
Oh, that's awesome,
I
guys.
will say that we're talking to multiple parties on what's the best way to safely ship it. Number one, because getting it to you guys is safely is important, right? But inexpensively.
Yeah,
So
that's
where we are exhausting multiple vendors and multiple parties, we're asking them if it's this big, if the pack is this big, if it's this big, if it's this tall, if this tall, and wait, what is our best value? What can we ship it as, and how to get it the lowest price for you guys? Unfortunately, as much as we do with that, I need everyone to understand anything you buy, there's a cost of shipping. There just is. I have no control over that. Perhaps in 2026, 2027, I'll open up a GRS shipping company and then I can control all the shipping. But as of right now, we are at the mercy of them. But I will say we're doing our best and talking to a lot of different people on what's the best way to ship it. It's got to be in 5 boxes, 2 boxes, 10 boxes, whatever we have to do to get that inexpensive and safely. That's what we're going to do.
so instead of GRS, it would stand for Glenn's Retro Shipping, right? Like
Exactly
that would
right. See,
be
it works for everything. Or
and
we
you get
could
the
do
brown shorts and
GRS
everything.
FU. for Glenn's retro show, fucking universal shipping or something like that. Flatbed
Universal.
shipping, something.
Ken asked, will there be online play? There is. And Glenn,
Yes.
I brought this to your attention. I sent a screenshot over. I don't know who sent it to you. Was it James or
Yep.
somebody sent Jason? Somebody sent it over. I was like, wait. Glenn, we just don't like everybody's IP is being shown here. Is that going to
Yes.
get adjusted?
Yes. We could potentially do that, but just so you guys know, since we're running off of basically RetroArch, so that's a RetroArch setting. So anyone who does RetroArch and does that type of thing, that is shown. It's there. Now I brought it to the attention of the team, and we think, yeah, we could probably mask that if you guys maybe put a flip switch, like if you want to mask it or not mask it. But that is basically RetroArch. So anyone who runs technically RetroArch can connect to us, and especially if you're running arcade, it's just even simpler because it's just right there in the menu.
Great, yeah, awesome, yeah. I saw that and I was like, whoa, we gotta, just to be safe than sorry. There's
Yep.
weirdos out there. Vic Vicious is in the house. Glenn, will you have Art Kit's control panel marquee for a Donkey Kong cab?
Me, absolutely not. That'll all be through third parties. We
Yep,
will
Joe
not be
Sabo.
shipping.
So
Yep.
I do know. I know you brought up Greg from 99 Lives. What a mensch, guys. If you haven't already, Jason, put his website, or any moderator for that matter,
Keep
put a
talking
link to
about
his
him.
website 100% in the video's description, because that guy is truly, truly awesome. He's done several giveaways for me. A guy like G.I. Joel could definitely build this. Put his website in there, guys. I'm going to make you go to work a little bit here while Glenn steps away. He's grabbing his thingy here. And did oh, wait till he gets his headset on. Maybe Glenn made this, or
This is 99
99
Lives right
Lives?
here.
Yep,
This
right
is
there.
his work right here. This is wood. Beautiful job. I mean, look at
It's
this. This
fantastic
is
quality.
phenomenal work.
It's real T molding. He uses that, like, I'll call it a play guard surface, but he uses that where you don't need the plastic deck protector. And on top of that, he's just a mensch. He's just such a nice guy overall. I know he's been going through some trouble, so if you could support him, that's the way to go right there. Joe Sabo's obviously a phenomenal guy. I heard Joe hired some help,
He
so we can
did.
kind of cut those times down.
I've been
Because
talking to Joe for a long time, and I know some people saying for my 1/6 build-a-cade, they want to build these Donkey Kong and other cabinets, and he's just been swamped. So he said he officially hired somebody. So he's hoping the next week or two just to get him trained, and then everything should ramp up and be getting stuff out a lot faster than he's been getting it out. And he apologizes for that, but um, you know, eh, everyone, every family, every person, there's always a struggle that we don't know, right? So we can't always jump to conclusions. I understand, when you put an order in, you want it as quick as you can, and sometimes you don't hear back as soon as you can. But let's just say that everyone in this world may have things going on that we don't know about. To just take it into consideration. But he's working on it, and it should be fixed with getting it out.
which is awesome because he's like one of the best in the biz, and I go through him for all my stuff. Just excellent quality. I mean, he does stuff for like real arcades, guys. Like the arcade
Correct.
1-up stuff is just on the side. Like his main focus is real actual arcades. You go to any, I've seen so many arcade like restoration channels, and like, oh, Zabos, they call them Zabo. I don't even know if that's
Yeah.
what I call them, Zabos all the time. But
Zabos.
yeah,
Joe
okay, they call him
Zabos.
Zabo. Yeah, there's a guy called Joe Zabo. It's like they don't even know who this guy is, but they went through him, probably heard whatever, and they're restoring like one of the big ones. So we're gonna be modding a golden axe into a dynamo cabinet, right? And one of the big ones I saw in there, and Joe Sabos did all the work to it and everything. I'm like, wow, insane! Like, so he's got other stuff besides the home arcade community that he works on. Julio, I'll answer your question here. Danny will eventually wipe out the cornercade to upgrade all these bigger titles. Yes, because Arcade 1-Up will only kind of lock into the 4 titles that they make. I want other titles, guys. Just think about it. Stand Up Hydro Thunder, like SNK versus Capcom. I mean, anything 80s, like a Crystal Castles cab would look beautiful. Like there are so many titles out there that Arcade 1-Up just has never really scratched that itch for most of us. Jason says, question. I've seen some ask why a curved cutout is chosen over, say, a midway design. We got to answer this. It's for the Nintendo side. You could, I mean, Glenn, to mention this, and again, I'm just reading this question here, but you could almost kind of, instead of cutting it, the half circle, you could have downward, inward, kind of fit it in like a triangle or whatever kind of thing. There are are possibilities, but this kind of keeps it to like that design. That's Glenn. You know what I'm saying? And
That's
in
one, and
arcades,
two.
there are
That's
so
one.
many different form factors and designs
There
and
is.
heights and widths, and it's all different. Everything it gets easy. Trust me, I had to get over my OCD of just making everything a midway cab, cookie cutter everything. Trust me, you want to do that, but my wife really helped me. She's like, "Honey, in an arcade, it's all over the place.
It
There's
is,
cocktail
but
style cabs, and
the
everything."
FU and
Glenn,
that
you're on mute.
design. I am
Or maybe not. Maybe I'm on.
testing,
Hold on,
testing.
Chad. I think they can
Woo-hoo.
hear you. Let me see. Let me reconnect
They
my
can?
headphones. You should be okay.
Testing, testing. I
Okay, I
think I'm
think
okay.
my
So,
AirPods
okay,
disconnected. Give me a second.
okay. So the reason we did that curve out there was because this is a full scale version of the 1/6 Build-A-Cade, and that was the design of that. So this is really just to be blown up, and that's the original reason and the main reason why it looks the way it does.
Yeah, there's a lot of FedEx hate too, just coming into this. FedEx
They do.
sucks at
I'm not gonna defend them. I'm not gonna
That's funny.
defend them. No.
I got lucky then because the Ad Games pinball came via FedEx. Guy came, carefully dropped it down. I immediately opened the door, wanted to kind of help him out if he needed it. And he was already in his truck, and I gave him the salute. I'm like, "Thank you for being gentle with this thing." So maybe just in my neck of the woods, I got
Well,
lucky.
you know,
Gallagher guys.
FedEx has non-FedEx employees doing deliveries. They have like third-party contractors.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen
so
that
those
before.
usually the
I've
ones
seen
who are
that.
like throwing stuff and bad are those because they're paid by how many they drop off. Like they may just go in the middle
Oh
of the
wow,
street,
yeah.
push him out in the street, say,
Just
"Yeah, delivered them."
keep it moving. Yeah.
Yep.
Especially on something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no chance. Like, yeah, take this and get out. I'm trying to and Amazon does it. A lot of companies do that like during Q4. There's your drink, gal guy right there. Q4 happens. I had a guy drop off something in a pickup truck. He had all the packages in a pickup truck. I mean,
Yep.
they're just getting
Yep.
any Tom, Dick, or Harry out there to drop these packages off
Yep.
to make it work. It's insane. Um, all right, let's see here. Oh, thank you, Jason, for putting all those in there. We were talking about GI Joel and Greg when you went to go get that control panel. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Zero Redux is excited to see some FU mock-ups with the art, hoping sooner than later. That would be cool
Yep. Yep. So
because
once we
it truly puts an envisionment. Because
right.
I can kind of think what this looks like, but when I see what it looks like, oh, okay, that's different. That could be badass,
Not yet.
right?
But I mean, if you honestly, if you go on my channel and look up any of my build-a-cades, I have a lot of videos on my build-a-cades, Don Kong, Fix It Felix, Cubert, Arkanoid. I had them all on there. That's the whole point. The new FU is the same as the 1/6 scale, so you can actually see right now what it would look like with that artwork. However, with that being said, as soon as we have the final dimensions and give out to Joe and Escape Pod and Arcade Graphics, they will mock up you know uh, the artwork as well. But if you do want to see what it looks like, I mean, you can go on my channel right now, look up any of my build-a-cades, and you will see what it would look like.
Yeah, and Aviso brings up a good point here. He's not entirely wrong. He's like, I'm always kind of lenient to order products from like these regular guys because these guys have jobs and these are their side gigs, right? GI Joel takes a long time. I mean, part of the problem, and not a problem, like if I go to promote a product, right? I'm like, holy cow, this thing is amazing. Let me show you why I do a video on it. It really inspires other people. Like, yeah, so if you have 200 people that put orders in, I mean, you're one guy, you're like, okay, and then as that video starts to spread or word of mouth starts to spread, I get, somebody gets a product in, they tell their friend to order it. I mean, it's a good thing, right? You want to support these companies, but remember, you got to remember that these guys are just one, maybe two guys at the most. And they are literally doing this like on the weekends. So it's, it's not like they're coming home at night and doing it.
Right.
They're mainly doing it on the weekends as their side gig. So that's the turnaround time. Really, they only really have like 6 days a month to work on this stuff. So it's not that's still one thing you got to kind of be patient with, especially with Glenn's. You're gonna be getting these cabs and you're gonna be putting orders to Sabo. So I'd say get in early, I guess, or these other companies, 99 Lives, and hopefully that you don't have to wait too long. Again, Glenn can't really give you a specific
I
time,
can't. But
that it'll be available,
but
but
those
that's just
guys,
the
as
one
you
thing.
know, do great work and they're worth the wait. I mean,
It
within
is, yeah.
reason, they're worth the wait. They're very good, very good.
I've had several that have taken like the 4-player arcade one-ups and made them in a 2-player. I did several modifications that's just so much better. It literally, you slide in a Joe Sable's marquee day and night. I cannot express the difference of that. You put on a GI Joel riser, it's incredible. I mean, makes it look like a deluxe. You put a retro 530 coin door. I mean, we could go on and
Yep.
on. There are so many cool
But
stuff.
that's
Glenn,
the thing. That's the thing. These things, even when you buy ones like an arcade one up, you still mod them. So that's what
mhm.
the build-a-cade is the same principle. It's not like I'm doing
It's
anything
essentially the
different.
same thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's essentially the same. There's just better quality at the end of the day.
yeah.
You're gonna better sticks and buttons. You're gonna have more of a choice to, if you want to play that said paperboy, you're actually gonna have real paperboy controls and handles. You want to play with the flight yoke, boom, there you go. Any Sinden, you're gonna have your own kind of bringing your own high quality guns, or you got Glenn's boomstick behind you, kind of thing. So it's just a better, more high quality experience. Instead of flying, coach, you're flying first class. You're still getting there, but it's going to be just a better overall experience, especially with that bigger monitor. I mean, I'm going to have to get adjusted to a 19-inch monitor because that's how most things are going to come out now. It's just going to be cool. It's going to be exciting. I mean, there's new and better form factors, guys. There's not one thing to really kind of, 2024 is just such a sour taste in people's mouths for home arcade. I think the hype train has already started, and I have a feeling it's going to continue to roll with people like Glenn here that are going to be putting out some great and amazing things, and we can't wait. We want more. You know what I'm saying? We want to get those updates. We need prices. We need weights. We need shipping costs. We need it all.
I thought we'd be there, but like I said, we got our first that first prototype, and we're like, ooh, that doesn't look right. so,
Yeah,
so
but just
we were like, yeah,
hey, that
you
happens to
totally ruined
everybody.
it.
It happens to everybody. Everybody, comes out with a product and they make adjustments. Glenn, I can keep you here forever, and I don't want to be that guy that keeps you here for 2 hours. You're like, I'm never going back there because he doesn't shut the hell up, But you got to get up early. I want to get you out of here on a shorter show because usually last time I had you, I think we went like 2.5 hours.
We usually I'm a talker too, and it runs long. So
It
if it
runs
was a
deep in the
Friday or a
family, right?
Saturday, that'd be one thing. But during the week, I
Yeah,
feel it the
Tuesday
next
nights,
morning. Yeah,
that's what it is. But guys, I appreciate each and every one of you guys coming out tonight. Glenn, again, thank you for coming out. I
appreciate it.
can't say it enough. Guys, leave your thoughts and comments down below, guys. What do you think? Do you have any other questions to ask? We can always reach out to Glenn through email or any type of other way through chats. Glenn, you're always in everybody's community chats and on everybody's stream, so you can always reach him out that way. But we're gonna look forward to more of those updates, and then obviously seeing people with this product that you built in their homes. Like that's gonna be such a cool feeling, honestly. Like you're a mensch. You're the best, Glenn. You're the best. Guys, I appreciate you coming out. Give this video a like on your way out. For Glenn, I'm Danny. We're at the Cornercade. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.